welcome to this episode of the Blog Chronicles. I am your host, Matthew Loomis. This show is sponsored by BuildYourOwnBlog.net, the full-service destination for people who want to start their own WordPress blog and achieve long-term success. Visit BuildYourOwnBlog.net to start your new blog today. My guest today is an experienced veteran in the SEO and social media space. He began experimenting and practicing these disciplines back in 1994, when internet marketing and SEO was not even a buzzword. He is himself a speaker at conferences such as PubCon and HostingCon, and has worked with such clients as Seagate, Hostway, ValueWeb, GoDaddy, iPower, Endurance International Group, SoftLayer, Codemasters, and D3 Publishers. We're going to be specifically talking today about the social media platform Google+. Today's guest has been a Google+ fan and evangelist since it started, and he still is enthusiastic about Google+ and recommends it to his clients in most cases. Today we're going to find out why. He says bloggers still should use Google+ to find connections, gain website traffic, and even make sales. And this may surprise you. Yes, Google+ is still around. It's still there. It's not a ghost town. There are people there and using it and finding success on it. So let's talk to my next guest and see how they're finding success on it. Let's get our chronicle on today with social media expert Ben Fisher. Hi, Ben. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Matthew. Thanks for having me today.
All right. Well, first of all, let's talk about the state of Google+ in 2017. Now, okay. I know that you're still a big proponent of using Google+ as a tool for online marketing. Why do you think Google+ is still worth a business blogger or really any blogger's time? Why is it worth their time to use Google+ today?
Okay, that's a great question, Matthew. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you're right, I am a big proponent of Google+. Our company was actually, we started this company, Steady Demand, mainly because of the Google+ 4 years ago. To give you a brief story about that and how we even kind of got started onto G+.
Mm-hmm.
Been doing SEO since internet marketing in general since 1994. Mainly, helping out everything from enterprise businesses down to local businesses for, try to get exposure and convert.
Mm-hmm.
More importantly, helping with SEO as time progressed. And kind of like what we were talking about in the green room about the experience that I've had in the web hosting industry. And in the web hosting industry, I was doing a lot of SEO. It was basically helping companies like anywhere from GoDaddy to HostGator to Bluehost with their SEO back in the 2000s. And so right around, I went ahead and stopped doing SEO, mainly because a lot of companies I was working with wanted to utilize black hat techniques. And I've always been more like, let's do white hat techniques. Things are going to last forever.
Yeah.
So basically stopped doing SEO, fired my customers, and said, hey, if you need help, aka you get a manual penalty in the future, give me a call. At that time, I kind of went back and focused into my business and, just started experimenting. And I specifically started experimenting with G+. And the reason was this. I was a beta tester of Google+, so it was pre-day one.
Mm-hmm.
B, I'd kind of seen the coming of personalization along with semantic well before its time. When the +1 button was rolled out, when Search + Me was rolled out, and then finally, of course, in 2013 when Hummingbird was rolled out.
Mm-hmm.
So when my customers came to me, ex-customers came to me and said, hey, we've been hit by a penalty. I basically said, hey, I got this idea. It's kind of working for me at the time. It has to do with this network, Google+. It's part of Google. And back in those days, by the way, people were saying, hey, Google+ is Google. That was kind of the mantra of the marketer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember those days.
Yeah. So I said, hey, let's try this. We're going to get real engagement from active users on G+. We're going to write some content, or we're going to disseminate your content. And we're going to do it in such a way that we're basically teaching Google about your business. And what that's going to do for you is it's going to stabilize your traffic. Of course, they said hogwash. No way. I said, way. So we basically did that. And in about 6 months across all three case studies, we were able to stabilize their traffic to pre-penalty levels.
Mm-hmm.
They had lost 75% of traffic, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So that was great. What the real eye-opener was when they went ahead and they did their disavows and got out of their penalties. Traffic shot up about 600%, almost universally across all three. And at that point, kind of had to step back and say, wow, we're onto something, I guess. So I guess to get back to to your question,
Mm-hmm.
right, is it relevant?
Yeah, because a lot of things have changed since then, since that
Sure.
time period.
Tons of things have changed. Hangouts were removed basically from it. Now we've got an entirely new interface, which rolled out just the other day on the 24th.
Right.
Pages have been kind of quote unquote gutted from Google Plus and Google My Business. The G Plus page at least. Brand pages kind of been taken away from the forefront. So there's all sorts of changes, but also there's a lot of great changes too.
How were brand pages taken away from the forefront? What do you mean by that?
Well, basically in a recent update within Google My Business,
Mm-hmm.
you used to be able to access what brand pages that you owned via Google My Business.
Mm-hmm.
Now to access them, you actually have to go into Google Plus and to get to the pages that you own. And if it's so it's just been it's more difficult to get to your brand page. I look at it as, and now that's the way I think people see it.
Okay.
I look at it as great forces you to go back to Google Plus to get to your brand page. So it makes sense that way.
Okay.
From the local side, for local brand pages, which are connected to Maps,
Mm-hmm.
and My Business, those what I mean by gutted there is they've done certain things like remove the phone number, they've removed the address from those pages. I think it's, and my colleagues feel it's less useful to the end user.
Mm-hmm.
Google feels, of course, that it's useful for them because there's more than enough information in Maps, Knowledge Panel, etc. So it's it's a delicate balance that I think Google has to play. And what meets their advertising needs and what meets the needs of the users, but they have to do it from a big data perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So they have to look across millions of user profiles to answer the question of, is this useful or not? And sometimes that's not the best answer. Sometimes it is. But to get back to your question.
Sure.
And then and that is that if you look at this pure from the marketing perspective, the fact that there are real users there, but more importantly, that you have a methodology where you can directly teach Google about your business and have that information verified by real people,
Mm-hmm.
that's a win. That's a win for any blogger or any marketer. Anyway.
So how many people are using Google Plus today?
If we knew the actual answer to that, you and I wouldn't be talking today. No. We'd be on a beach somewhere. No, they haven't released the actual numbers since 2013, I believe, was the last time that they talked about numbers.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been a while, and
why do you think that is?
I personally believe that it is because the number is not, again, statistically significant, and for Google, that means it needs to be 1 million active users monthly. And you can kind of divine that, or at least how I've defined that, is from the last I/O. when Google I/O, when they released their numbers about how many people are using G Suite, Drive, and a lot of other Google products. And if you notice on the slide that they show, is they show basically for each one. And they didn't obviously they left off products that didn't meet that 1 billion mark. So I think the other thing comes down to is just political in nature. They've had to kind of distance themselves from the G Plus product, at least as far as talking about it. And I think that comes from just people within Google, basically, not enjoying the product so much.
Okay. So you still think that Google Plus is a relevant social platform and something that bloggers, business bloggers, online business owners should use to market and promote their business. What are some of the blogging niches that you find are being successful using Google Plus today?
Sure. So interesting stories, right?
Yeah.
Is we have one client, which is a small boutique hotel out of Laguna Beach, California. And you can look them up. Their name is Capri Laguna. And so this hotel, when they first started, was doing hardly any marketing. They were a 2-star hotel, by the way. The property management company had recently taken it over, and it was across the street, 4-star hotel. So we were contacted and we were brought in to help with marketing, mainly from an SEO perspective, and we've been doing some blogging for them, and we've been doing G Plus for them. They currently, I believe, have around over 8,000 followers on Google Plus. The average post for them gets anywhere from I'd say it's between 15 and 100 engagements per post. The interaction rate for them, I could probably actually look it up right now, but I'd say it's probably somewhere in the 56% range. And more importantly, they're now, I believe, a 3-star hotel. They are booked year over year, 100%. Previously, they were booked 30%. Okay.
Wow.
And their sole internet marketing comes just from Google Plus.
Really?
They also have a collection that they have on their Google Plus collection, which is kind of like Pinterest, right?
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit about that in a minute.
Oh, no problems. I got some stuff that'll be very interesting for you there. So, but the collection that they have is about photographers, basically, Laguna Beach photographers. And what we did there is we basically networked with local photographers and asked them if we could utilize their photos. In exchange, we're going to give them some exposure. This helped build up a lot of semantic relevance between Laguna Beach and the property itself. So therefore, when people are looking for a hotel in Laguna Beach, the chances is Capri Laguna is going to show up, basically, from a search perspective. And then also they have a collection, which is, that collection has, I'd have to go take a look at the actual numbers, but I believe it's about 10 times the number of followers than the brand itself has.
Wow. Can you explain what a collection is on Google Plus?
Yeah, sure. So a collection on Google Plus is basically geared towards people's passions and interests. The easiest way to think about them is that they, again, going back to what we were just saying, is Pinterest for Google. So when you go ahead and you write a post, you can sort that post into a collection that you've created. So let's say, Matthew, that you have the Blog Chronicles, and one of your collections is called Marketing Businesses That Are Awesome, okay?
Okay.
Or Tips for Small Businesses, Marketing Tips for Small Businesses. Let's go with that one. Marketing Tips for Small Businesses. So you write up a post, and that post is about a company that you've interviewed. And you go ahead, you put that into the collection. Great. Awesome. The beautiful thing is a collection, and they're in the collections are considered web indexed normally as any kind of website is. And then what also happens is, and this is the part that most people don't know, is that because collections are powered by machine learning and artificial intelligence, they are displayed to people based upon what their passions and their interests are based on previous behavior, whether that be online or within Google+. So let's say I may have never followed your brand ever, right? But because I talk to marketers on a regular basis, then I might find a post from one of your collections in my home feed. And if I see that post, I'm going to look at it and I'm going to be like, man, that's pretty cool. I'll go visit the collection. I'll see there's more there. And I might follow the collection.
Right.
Which gives another signal to Google, by the way, of course, because, now another marketer has gone ahead and followed your collection. So it might be exposed to my entire friend base at that point. But then over time, I might like it, and I might like your brand also if I like the rest of the content that you provide. So the big thing there that I think is most intriguing as a marketer is the AI aspect of collections. The story behind that really quickly is that Google purchased DeepMind a couple years ago.
Did you say, you said DeepMind?
Yep, DeepMind.
Oh, okay.
So as we all know, DeepMind is the AI engine, that's going ahead and, beat people that, world champions at chess, world champions in Go, can beat video games now, does a whole bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
But the first task that they gave DeepMind, the DeepMind team, when they first acquired it, was to go ahead and write this new feature for Google Plus called Collections. And so most people don't know that, but you can go look it up, and there's lots of interviews that cite this information. But the thing is that, now that the whole new interface for G Plus has been rolled out, DeepMind's basically behind the entire backbone of Google Plus. So if we understand that, then as marketers and business people, we can understand how we can leverage that.
Right.
And when I mean leverage that, I mean leverage it in a good way to really truly be able to market ourselves without deception and be able to get some authenticity basically behind our brand. So,
Can you give an example how that would help a business to be more authentic?
Sure. So I believe that authenticity is the core of any good marketing for your business. The more you can be honest, sorry about that, the more you can be honest about what you provide, and I think is the better, right? Because users are going to see that, and when they see that, they endear it. When they endear it, they talk about it. And what's better than word of mouth marketing, right?
Right.
If you're just trying to put yourself there and say, like millions of people, or thousands of people do, you are the expert at something, or you are the best at something, or you're the ninja of something, right? Which we can go to LinkedIn, we can see hundreds of thousands of experts,
Are people still using ninja, the ninja term?
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
Of course. And guru.
Right.
So, but that's a disingenuous way, I think, of doing marketing.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you can just put yourself out there and say, hey, this is what I do, right? And put that out in such a way, put it out in such a way which is basically, I guess you could say, answering people's questions before they've even asked them, right? And that's how I like to look at it, is that when you are doing marketing, especially on social media, the primary purpose of your marketing should be answering questions. And not just, how much does this cost? More like
Right.
all the questions that you're asking is perfect examples of asking questions.
Yeah.
Or I'm sorry, answering questions. So that's what you should strive to do. Is like, you're going to make a posting on Google Plus or anywhere. Then you just go ahead and you put down, oh, how is this going to help my business? Or maybe it's a story, or maybe it's just something like, you're sharing information, and you're sharing it freely. You take a look at there's a blog post I love on our website, which basically we outline from A to Z exactly how to run a Twitter chat. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I don't know if you have you ever done run a Twitter chat by yourself?
I have not. No.
Okay. They take about 8 to 10 hours to orchestrate.
Wow.
Between creating the questions, the answers, the images, scheduling everything, and timing everything, so that way when you're actually hosting the Twitter chat,
Mm-hmm.
you can actually sit there and engage with people and answer their questions. And then there's getting the audience and all sorts of stuff. But anyway, it's a really laborious
Wow.
process.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So, and we do these for our customers. And basically from that, why don't we just document every step of the way what we do? And let's just put it out there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? And if it helps people, great. Those people are not going to be our customers. They want to do it themselves, and that's fine. That's okay. This is a very big world.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, there are going to be companies that say, you know what? That's a lot of work. These guys know what they're talking about. I think we should hire them. That's the customer. That's the customer that we want, basically, at the end of the day.
How many of your clients are like the solopreneur type or the freelancer? Do you have any of those, or are you working with just big brands?
We work with across the board. So I wouldn't say we have a lot of solopreneurs that we work with,
Mm-hmm.
just mainly because I think it's cost prohibitive.
Mm-hmm.
And also just in general, most people who are solopreneurs are usually still in that DIY phase.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Right.
I think just experience-wise, when you're bootstrapping, I mean, because I bootstrapped a lot of businesses. I want to be in there. I want to be digging into it I'm very careful where I invest my funds. And something like social media is very top of the funnel versus bottom of the funnel.
Okay.
And so it's more of an awareness thing versus a sales thing. And when you're first starting, you need to focus on sales. That's what builds. And
Mm-hmm.
so anyway, that's a long way of saying not a lot of solopreneurs.
All right.
Then again, I mean, you look at a luxury real estate agent, and they are kind of like solopreneurs.
Mm-hmm.
They just have a bigger ticket item.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I would say on average, most of the companies that we work with have at least 3 to 4 people that work there.
Okay. I was just curious. So go ahead.
It's all good. Where were we?
Your collections. I know that.
Okay. Oh yeah, collections, and how can that help people be a little bit more transparent?
Yeah. Yeah. Transparency.
Yeah. So anyway, so collections, I don't know if it's necessarily going to help somebody become transparent. Like either you are that kind of person or you're not that kind of person. Either you run your business that way or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
But if you are the type of person or business that can share information freely and not worry that your competitors are going to beat you because you shared some information, which astonishingly, many businesses are afraid that their competitors are going to copy, everything that they. The fact of the matter is this: so unless you are a really big company that has some awesome trade secrets, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
It's more beneficial to share your knowledge.
So, communities. How does the communities differ from collections?
Yeah, communities are definitely a different thing. Communities are, an excellent place for like-minded people to get together and talk. Unfortunately, I feel that while G Plus is trying to focus on communities.
Mm-hmm.
I think the execution of it is still, to be blunt, pretty crappy. So
Mm-hmm.
I remember the heydays back in the early days of G Plus, where you could pop into a community and you would have this intense discussion with people who were true thought leaders. Um, and comments would be 4, 5, 6 long.
Yeah.
A post would be the size of a blog post.
Right.
800 words, really well thought out, very deep. Didn't matter what the subject was. It was just really thought provoking.
Yeah, I remember those days.
And then marketers, they would come in and they try to link spam and they get deleted immediately.
Huh.
Even with the refocus on communities, as they say,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't see that anymore. I think those days are gone. With this new web preview, with the new now layout of Google Plus, maybe it'll revitalize. There are some waves I'm starting to see about that, like with some of my old friends are starting to come back and look at it and, starting to have those conversations again.
Mm-hmm.
But back to communities, I think the communities for the most part are filled with so many users that are no longer there that they look big, which attracts marketers.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, those people are not active. And I know this because I own some really large communities that are north of 100,000 users each.
Yeah.
But after I've done the analysis, it comes down to it's like a couple thousand are actually active, if that.
Yeah. So, I've noticed that too in some of the communities I've been a part of. How much of that, Ben, do you think honestly is due to Facebook and the communities over there? Are they sucking up people's time over on Facebook? What's that?
I don't necessarily know, and I can't necessarily say it's because of Facebook. I try and look at where my friends personally have gone. They've gone all over the place, but for the most part, most of them have gone back to focusing on their business.
Yeah.
So, there was Hangouts, right? People would do Hangouts and Hangout events. And I used to do Hangouts and Hangouts events. I think I've been on probably over 200.
Mm-hmm.
And, we used to have weekly shows and all sorts of things. It was kind of interesting because about 2 years ago, me and a group of my friends just said, you know what, forget this. Hangouts has served its purpose. We've reached our audience. We've made new friends, new connections. We're going to stop. And let's see what happens when we stop. Does the engagement die down? Do our connections die down? Does our business improve? And guess what? The fact is when you free up 4 to 5 hours a week back into your business skyrockets.
I used to wonder, how do these people spend so much time on social media when they have businesses to run?
Right. It's kind of the shoe cobbler's problem, right? The shoemaker has no shoes. And in this case, I think it's that, well, most people are surprised actually when, if I'm asked, for instance, how much time do I spend on social media? And the answer is, when I started the business, I probably spent around 10 to 15 hours a week on social media, if not more.
That's pretty significant, yeah.
But there was a purpose. There was a business purpose, which was not meant to come to fruition for years, and I knew it.
Right.
And I was building relationships with people, very specifically, and there were certain people that I wanted to get to know, and there's certain people I wanted to get to know other people.
Right.
But, and I got to know them, and if I liked them, I genuinely liked them, I kept the relationship going. If I didn't, I moved on, just like you always do in networking.
Right.
So, but it takes a lot of time, and I a lot of communities, became moderator and an owner of a lot of communities. Like I was saying with the Hangouts and all of that, and it served its purpose. These people are friends, and I love the fact of what you're doing, for instance, here, Matthew, because I've been on the other side, where having interviewed lots of people, ranging everywhere from, believe it or not, Hulk Hogan of all people,
You
right?
know what? I caught that one. Yeah,
Oh, you did?
I saw that. Yeah.
Ah, it's fun. He doesn't Hulk out until the end. Um, to people like Guy Kawasaki, right?
Hmm.
To really cool companies like Unbounce, to enterprises like T-Mobile, to
Hmm.
little, not the little guys because they're great, I think, to guys who are running companies like real estate companies like Bill Gassett,
Hmm.
and, and all sorts of people. And, but it was great. It was great for networking. It really was.
So you're
You learn a
saying that
lot.
it still is good for networking in 2017. It just depends on where you're at as a business owner or a blogger. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you
You
and
know,
I may not have to spend the 15 to 20 hours a week as someone else just starting may need to do.
hmm
But you still think that Google Plus is worth the 15 to 20 hours a week.
I would say this is that if you're just starting out or if you're in mid-level and growth phase of your business,
Hmm.
that absolutely get involved in Google Plus, go network with some people, go plus mention somebody, you know, find somebody that you idolize or that you look up to, somebody who might be a mentor one day, and strike up a relationship with them. Don't stalk them,
Right.
but get involved, in their conversations. If they are active, you can meet these people, no problem, and they're happy to help and they're happy to talk to you. So, I've had this person happen to me a lot, where it's like I'll just be kind of, just posting my stuff. And then, I've seen the same person over and over and over again asking questions or giving their own opinion.
Right.
Um, and once in a while, when somebody's sharing their opinion, you're like, huh, that was really cool. That was really good. And I'll engage back with that person.
Hmm.
And then, that person might one day send me a private message. And that is, hey, would you like to hop in and hang out on our phone call? I'd be like, sure, why not? Let's do it. Because I've already warmed up to the fact that this person might be somebody worthwhile meeting.
Yeah.
And it does happen. And that's the beautiful part about it is that it's still a network where that can occur. Not to say that that can't occur on Facebook and Twitter, because it absolutely can.
Hmm.
It's just that it's every network is different, and I just find it easier on Google Plus to make those connections.
I would agree with that. When it comes to getting a connection that has some depth to it, some substance, and a good return on investment,
hmm
I have to agree with you on that with Google Plus. Now, a few years ago, when Google Plus was, thriving with authorship and everybody, there was a lot more users. Many people were coaching everyone to follow a set of protocols as far as like crafting an effective post on Google Plus. For example, you should have a really good meaty description at the top,
Yep.
not just one sentence intro like you do on Facebook a lot. You needed to have a substantial amount of text to get people to engage with the post. So today, after all these changes that have occurred, does that still stand with crafting an effective Google Plus post? Can you give us maybe a few tips?
Sure. So we actually have a blog post on our website that's about this, which is, creating the perfect Google Plus post, right? And
I
as you
will.
know,
Oh,
and like
but I
you're
will
saying,
be. I will be linking to that in the show notes.
cool. And as you know, of course, Dustin Stout is on our team as well. So
Mm-hmm.
he
Yep.
and I kind of both created the whole perfect post. Um, so of course his graphics
Yeah.
were much better than mine. That's a given. That's a given. So, but yeah. So the answer is it still works. It's a formula that we use to this very day. Again, we're sharing the information out there.
Okay.
Um, you know, and we use it with our clients. Recipe of success.
Okay.
And again, the reason is that if somebody is active and engaged on G Plus, they want meat. They want content.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want a one-line cat gif.
Right.
Although cat gifs do work, just not for business.
All right.
So, but yeah, I mean, so the thing is that of course, you want a short title, right? Which usually between about 40 characters. You do want to bold that, put
Mm-hmm.
asterisks on both sides of it so that way it bolds out with the formatting. You want to have your link usually right next to your title if you can. For those people who do have a small attention span, they can go straight to the content.
Okay.
Um, then you give it a little bit of white space, but then after that, you've got about 2 to 3 lines, which you can give a shorter description. That short description should summarize what the rest of the post is about, but also what the destination link is about, if there's a link, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But also it should tease the reader to read more, to open up the post. After that, yeah, you absolutely want to summarize the destination post in much more detail, give opinion, more importantly. Why is this important? Ask some kind of a question which is stimulating. Again, that's going to bring about engagement. And, and then finally, you want to ask people to give their thoughts. And then we round it out actually with usually doing the first comment on a post as well.
Mm-hmm.
So found that adding your own first comment on a post, while it may look tacky, is actually great from an engagement standpoint. It increases your chances of engagement by over 75%, by the way.
That's huge.
Yes. And that's the biggest problem, right? Is that you put out a post and nobody engages with it. The short answer is yes, it still works.
Yeah, I was going to say everything that you're describing obviously takes some time, which is why your services are in demand.
Yeah, it does. It does take time. To be able to find the right kind of followers for a brand takes a tremendous amount of time. Manual labor, and it's not something that you can outsource to, overseas.
Mm-hmm.
The content itself, if you're talking about writing, which we do, which is around 200 to 400 unique words per post. If you take a look at that company, Capri Lagoon, I was telling you about, you'll see this in action. But 200 to 400 words per post, that's basically almost a half a blog post. As you and I both know, it is really difficult to put out one blog post, not to say another post about that blog post.
Right.
And then do that every day.
Right.
So yes, it's very difficult. It takes somebody who has a background in journalism or public relations, which is almost exclusively what we hire.
Journalism or public relations.
Yep,
Okay.
either or usually. And some people we've hired have no social media experience whatsoever. They just have great journalism or PR background. And but the reason is that somebody who has that kind of background can do research, they can write, and they can connect with people, and they can engage with people very fluidly. And those are all talents that you need to properly handle social media.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Ben, did you have something else to follow up on that?
Well, yeah, I did. There is something else I wanted to follow up with this, and I'm remiss that I didn't bring it up earlier because I know most people do drop off after the first 5 to 10 minutes, and so you might want to bring this up in your recap.
Okay.
But there's another aspect of G Plus that I think everybody really needs to know, and that is this: you're familiar with a gentleman named Mike Blumenthal, right?
Yes, I am. And I see him a lot on G+.
He's on G+. He's on Twitter a lot too, actually.
Okay.
Look for him at M Blumenthal.
Okay.
Mike is he's a really great guy. He's very scientific, very analytical, and he is the leader, the father of local search.
Okay.
He's been in the business for over 10 years. He's a man I highly respect. and he's a colleague of mine with the top contributor group over at Google My Business.
Mm-hmm.
So we work together in there. There's only about 12 people in the world that are our top contributors for GMB.
Yeah, that was quite a recognition and an honor for you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's great. It's really awesome to be able to help people and be tied to Google in that way.
Yeah.
But the reason I bring Mike this up is that we got together a little bit over almost about a year. I think it was almost a year ago, and Mike was a Google Plus naysayer, right? In other words, he really did not believe that Google Plus was great for business. And he had beat the drum on it for years. Like, I think this is good. I think it's good. And then all of a sudden it was, once they removed links to G Plus, it was kind of like, okay, it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Mike and we got together. And basically I said, look, I know that you're not a real believer. I said, but what if I can show you some data that shows otherwise? And, of course, he's a scientist. So we got together. And basically, I showed him some ranking reports that we had for local clients, the engagement that we were getting that was kind of a correlation to that.
Mm-hmm.
And we decided to do a case study together. And that case study was all contingent upon whether it was succeeded or failed. He was going to talk about it. I was like, sure, sounds good to me. Let's do it. And so we started working on one of his clients called Barbara Oliver. And the whole idea is to basically help create some 3-packs that didn't exist, and then help the client get ranked. The neat thing about it is the only thing that we did was manage a Google Plus page effectively. Okay.
Right.
We did this for about 45 days. After 45 days, the client started, they rose in ranking from almost nowhere to be like around number 5, I think it was. And then what ended up happening is those magical little 3-packs came into existence.
Mm-hmm.
The Possum update hit. We ended up doing a little bit more work. And then the client went up and became in the number 1, 2, and 3 spots across different packs. So the long story short of that is that if you are interested in any kind of search ranking for your business, big or small, you should be paying attention to Google+. You should be writing content, and you should be getting engagement from real followers, not fake bot followers. And it will help your business. It doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or if you're an enterprise. Just do it. And we proved it. So that's what I wanted to kind of leave you with there, is the bigger whammy, I guess you could say, at the end of the day is it can help you from a business perspective, transparency, getting connections, but it can also help you from an SEO perspective.
That's good stuff, Ben. What is the title of that case study, so that I can link to it? So
the case study, you can actually go see the case study at localu.org.
Okay.
It's in the forums right now.
Okay.
And then Mike is going to be doing at MozCon Local, which is next month, I believe, on the 27th and 28th of February.
Okay.
He is going to be doing a presentation on the 28th, which is entitled "Words Are the New Links." Excuse me. Words are the new links, which basically is talking about semantic correlations. Semantic search correlations between words and entities, and how you can increase the relevance of an entity through the use of words.
I like the sound of that.
Thanks. Mike came up with it, man. He's the guy. But yeah, he's going to be doing a presentation there. So what I would suggest is, go check out localu.org.
Okay.
Sign up for the forums and the presentation's in there. If you want to get a sneak peek, or come down in February and see us at MozCon Local in Seattle, or wait until another case study is actually written.
Okay, definitely. Ben, this has been great stuff about Google Plus today, and I want to close with this question.
Sure.
Going forward, why are you optimistic about the future of Google Plus?
I'm optimistic about it because I've seen it go through its ups and downs. And more importantly, I've seen what happened in the past year. What was it? Gosh, year and a couple of months, year and some change. November, basically about a year, no, not last year, but the previous year. In November, they rolled out the Google Plus preview. That was the
Mm-hmm.
first signal that Google Plus was not dead. They were starting to revamp the design.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing I was waiting for is like, okay, so my gut said this is going to be around for about a year and then it's going to become permanent. I said, but what's going to happen between now and then? And Luke Robelski and his team, or Google Plus, did an amazing job during that year. They took people's feedback, they listened to it, and they implemented changes which were really important. So basically, between the whole rewrite, listening to people, making a year's worth of changes, shows that there's an active, dedicated team behind Google Plus. If they were going to kill the product, it would have been done a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And you only have to look at history to realize that as a fact.
Mm-hmm.
So when they killed off Buzz, it was done literally within a couple weeks, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Same with all the other products that are in the Google graveyard.
Mm-hmm.
Anything they're going to kill, they do it swift, and they well, look what happened to the RSS reader, right?
Yeah.
What did they
Right.
give everybody? 2 months heads up notice, something
Yeah.
like that.
Right.
We're talking now that affected a couple million, like at least I think it was north of 1 million users, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah. Every bit as much. Yeah.
So if they would kill a product like that, which was used by millions of people
Mm-hmm.
in a short period of time, but they would let Google Plus go and continue and put development resources behind it,
Right.
we're talking a team of over probably 10, 15 people maybe.
Yeah.
Do the math on that. Really, if you do the math on that, figure out just on average, how much do you think those engineers are making a year, plus
Mm-hmm.
the building, you know?
Right.
And then, okay, so put that number out there. I would say that's still an investment.
Yeah,
Uh,
Ben, honestly, when I was doing the research for our interview, I started to get a sense that Google really sees this as a long game. The Google Plus is a long game, like really long
right,
game.
right.
I mean, we can't even. They're so smart. I mean, they're thinking of things that we're not even seeing right now.
Exactly. And there's a video that we made a while back, which I think speaks to the core of this. When we had software that we used to do for Google Plus Analytics,
Mm-hmm.
and we tried to explain why Google Plus was important. And it comes back to this whole teaching Google aspect, right? And that is the simple message was Google has to fight a lot of spam on so many fronts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why not put together a network that basically takes the power of over 300 million people and put them to work verifying information for you? Okay, and that's in the form of plus ones, comments, and shares.
Mm-hmm.
You take that just as a basic concept that if a business does what they say they do and they post about that information and then people validate that information by engaging with it, that's just one more node that Google can look at to verify whether that information is trusting or is basically verifiable or not.
Right.
That right there makes sense, especially if it goes over into Google search, which is then monetized by ads.
Absolutely.
So,
And it sounds like it makes sense to continue using Google Plus for an online business owner.
absolutely. As long as they're dedicated to it, I'm going to be dedicated to it. And I think a business should be also dedicated to it as well. Don't ignore the other social networks if your customers are there, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. I mean, it's like, We provide services that are not just Google Plus. I mean, we provide Google Plus, we provide local search services, we provide Facebook. Yes, we do Facebook. We do Twitter. We do Twitter chats like we were talking about. We even offer Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn services. We have to. It's social media. But all social is the same at its very core. So that's why companies can do multiple channels, right? It's just platform. It's different.
So you as a social media consultant, you don't necessarily always recommend Google Plus first. You first find out where their audience is.
Not true. There are rare instances, very, very rare, where I will not recommend Google Plus because it's just simply the best money for your time or buck.
Okay.
The effect is so large. It's so bigly. No, just kidding.
Bigly.
Bigly.
Yeah.
But the effect is so great. No. Yeah. So, but the effect is so large. Actually, we're affecting search. You're affecting PR. You're affecting marketing. You're reaching out to people. You're getting clicks. Which translate into sales. So. You put all these things together and you throw search on top of that, and it's like, why are you not doing it? You don't care about search? Okay, that makes sense. Not really. So yeah. So I the only time I will not recommend G Plus is if the person that I'm talking to is so, and I'm going to say this, so closed-minded that they don't even want to hear it, and then it becomes a negative. And then I'm like, okay, whatever. We'll talk about it again. We'll talk about it another day.
Right. Ben, where can people connect with you online, social media-wise?
Sure, absolutely. So if you want to connect with my company, it's steadydemand.com. And then basically you can follow us on Twitter at steady, STEADY demand. You can follow us on Google Plus, of course, at plus steady demand. If you ever wanted to figure out how the easiest way to reach somebody on G Plus is, you just go to google.com/ whatever their vanity URL is. So in our case, plus steady demand. If you want to get in touch with me personally, it's plus, hey, this is really hard to figure out, Ben Fisher. No, I'm lucky I have a verified name, Ben Fisher. So,
okay.
But yeah, and on Twitter, I'm at the social dude. Actually, somebody else took social dude a long time ago. Pissed me off to no end.
Yeah, gotcha. I will be linking to those in the show notes. Great. So, Ben, I want to thank you for coming on the Blog Chronicles today and sharing your expertise with us. When it comes to Google Plus, using Google Plus for my online business, honestly, I had backed off of it, and I think I need to reconsider it.
Wonderful, man. Yeah, I think that you'll find as a publisher, and especially with the great content that you're producing, that you're going to be able to reach more people, and I think help more people at the end of the day than you do currently.
Yeah.
And on top of that, as a publisher, we want traffic. We need traffic. Yeah. And that usually comes in the form of organic traffic. So organic traffic is on your radar, absolutely. G plus, and then just the fact that you're a writer, it should be second nature for you.
Yeah, part of it is the time factor we talked about. I still share some things on there, but I haven't been engaging on there very much for quite a while, and I know that that's a big thing on Google Plus. Like if you're not engaging with other people, it's almost like people are like, oh, I'm not going to bother engaging on your stuff. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. I mean, you think about it, it's kind of social media in general is a very give and take symbiotic relationship.
Yeah, that's true. But it seems like on other platforms, it's a little different. It seems like on Google Plus, there's more of a, if you're not engaging with people, then forget you. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's probably a good thing. I mean, because, we're supposed to be social, not just throwing up in people's laps and running away, So,
I like how you said that, not just throwing up in people's laps.
right.
Yeah, we used the way I think that David Amerland, me, and Mark used to do a lot of shows together.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to talk about social media and how it's kind of akin to walking into a networking event, right? We've all been to a networking event of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go into a networking event, the first thing that you don't do is walk up to a group of strangers and say, "Hi, here's my business card. This is what I do. Have a nice day. Talk to you later."
Right.
And walk away.
Right.
You don't
Or
do
this
that.
is my new blog post I just wrote.
Exactly, right. Here's my interview with Steady Demand. I'm sure you're going to be interested in. Have a good day.
Yeah, right. Here's my interview with Ben Fisher.
Right. People just look at you cross-eyed and be like, okay. What was that guy? No, I don't even care what the guy's name was.
Yeah.
You walk up to a group of people, you listen about what's going on, interject if it's right, but you get to know people. And so that's one of the things I think social media allows us to do. It allows us to do that and accelerate that process so much faster.
Absolutely. I've made so many friends on G Plus and other platforms too. Social is a great thing.
Well,
Thanks for tuning into this
really
episode of the Blog Chronicles. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe on YouTube or iTunes and leave a rating or review to help other bloggers find us. If you do want to chat, look me up on Twitter @MattLoomis. So who is going to be my next guest on the Blog Chronicles? She runs an incredibly successful blog. The story behind the website is amazing. Can't wait for you to meet this next guest. She is extraordinarily inspiring, and you don't want to miss her personal story. Trust me, because it is quite dramatic and will make your jaw drop, and then you will cheer as the story unfolds. So I'll see you back here next time.